Hi, today we are addressing understanding emotional regulation, and joining me in this discussion is Dr. Rajiv Tony Juneja, a practicing psychiatrist. Thank you so much, Dr. Juneja, for joining us.
Hello.
Dr. Juneja, could you please explain to us the connection, if we're going to be understanding emotional regulation, there's the difference between male and female. And so could you define for us how that connection is when we're thinking about our emotional regulation?
Well, I think gender differences are very real. You know, in our society, men are kind of taught early on that, you know, boys don't cry. You know, I mean, I've heard that from my own mother. And I think it's much more accepted in our society that women are able to express their emotions. So it's really relevant to look at how that plays out in our adult life.
Absolutely, and when we think of the role that men and women are playing today, especially when we're addressing issues of caregiver support and managing families and trying to bring it all together, and you know, individuals working together, whether it's male, female, to really provide as much wholeness within the family, but there clearly are defined roles. Could you define for us, you know, in our society, there's the successful man, and then there's the successful woman, but the roles are different, sometimes coming to the middle, but...
Well, the successful man is, you know, the one who doesn't show emotion, who can tolerate anything. You know, you throw the stress my way and I can deal with it. And you know, actually rates of depression in men have really been thought to be underdiagnosed because of just that feature. Because men in general will view it as, oh, there's something wrong with me or defective with me. And it really is not a defect in any manner. It's really a real physiological disease, depression. So you know, we are now, I think, alleviating some of the stigma that's been associated with women. Like you said, you know, there are these roles in certain communities more than others. But now we are seeing where, you know, a lot of single families, right? So where mom is playing both mom and dad, and working and doing all the chores around the house, and kind of the more traditional role aspects. But emotionally, you know, women, again, I think are more apt to be able to express themselves, and that it's accepted. That if you see a female crying, I think, you know, people don't respond to that as the same as if you see a man crying.
It almost feels uncomfortable in a sense, because that's how we were brought up culturally, that men are, just as you described, very strong, and they don't express their emotions quite as freely as women do. And it just brings us back to when we're thinking about stress management and understanding how men and women address stress, and how you need to be looking at how this stress, whether you're male or female, and how that plays a role in your body, and trying to encourage. It's wonderful to hear that it's starting to shift, that men are expressing themselves more, and it's not a negative thing. Come seek your support.
I think, actually, you know, the strong man is somebody who's able to express his emotions.
Great point.
And it is important to be able to know, you know what, I can feel upset, I can, you know, and it can be appropriate. You know, say somebody, you have a loss in the family, it can be a very painful thing, and then that's okay. Or if you're really feeling overwhelmed, it doesn't mean you have to cry every time, but I'm talking about being connected to our internal emotional response. I think it's a very powerful place to live.
And I think it's honoring your body, again, as we focus on wellness and health and trying to manage that stress. Now, Dr. Juneja, when we think about men and women, and we're addressing emotional regulation, how, you know, when one is in response to whatever the stress may be, or the caring of a loved one, or diagnosis has just been made, you just learned of a particular condition, the challenges of work, the challenges of just balancing everything, how does one truly step back and really try and do an assessment and feel that they're not reacting, that they can come to a space of being proactive?
Okay, so we're really getting at what would be an effective tool, right, to be able to manage our emotional response, so to speak. And sometimes, we've all seen road rage, right? Somebody
yes.
very much in reaction. Some places they even pull out guns, which is, you can see how impulsive and ineffective that is. Or even somebody getting the wrong change back at the local coffee shop, and this person's having a meltdown. Again, is that where you want to be investing your energy? So one very effective tool that I teach people is really being able to ask yourself a very simple question when you're feeling overwhelmed. And that question is, am I in reaction? So the question is, am I in reaction? And you can almost think of it as this is, printed on your forehead, and you're going to keep this at the forefront of your mind through your day. And you'll find that as you're going through your day and these environmental stimuli are coming in and situations are happening, you're at times reacting to them. So in that overwhelmed state, to ask yourself that question, am I in reaction, leads to, oh my God, you know what, I am in reaction right now. Let me take a step back. And it starts this self-reflective process.
Now, Dr. Janeja, I mean, it's a great affirmation to also be carrying around with you during the day, to get into that personal practice of really navigating your environment internally as well as externally. So when we're in that space and we're stepping back, we're trying to get centered, are there any other suggestions as some final thoughts that we could share with the community on as we're thinking about our emotional regulations and the stress that we're confronted with, no matter what the level, what would some suggestions?
So that would be a psychological tool, right? Now there are other aspects, say for example, even exercise. And we've all heard this many, many times. But even exercise, even if you go for a walk, a non-strenuous walk. I live down by the water. If I go out to the beach, it's almost a de-stressing experience just to go for a 10-minute walk. To be able to do that, I think, as we mentioned before, having a role model. It can be a professor at your school. It can be a teacher, in your high school. It can be a pastor. It can be a friend. But having a role model that you look up to, I think, is critical. I think it's critical, and it helps us to be able to kind of have somebody to learn from.
Excellent advice, Dr. Janeja. It's about, again, self-awareness, monitoring what you're thinking, how you're feeling, connecting to your environment, and then stepping back, taking that breather, asking yourself, am I in reaction? Trying to find some tools, some positive daily living tools, whether it's walking or meditation or breathing, that there can be some balance brought into regulating where you are emotionally.
Yes.
Dr. Janeja, fabulous information, and thank you so much for providing us with this support.
You're welcome.
For more information on emotional regulation, please log into Lasting Lifestyles at www.lastinglifestyles.net. Thank you so much.